Okay, so in today's video we're going to take a look at part 5 of the Reading and Use of English paper on the C1 Advanced exam by Cambridge, which is a part of the exam, the first sort of reading exercise that you have on the Reading and Use of English paper, and one that people don't like, but it's very important because there are 12 points, even though there are 6 questions, there are 12 points available because obviously it's a part of the exam that takes a bit of time. You've got a fairly long text that you have to read, and 6 questions with 4 possible answers, comprehension questions with quite complicated paraphrased sentences, right? So it's really checking how much you understand detailed and complex ideas, right? And obviously your vocabulary is really important at this point because you've got to understand expressions and words and synonyms, basically, because the right answer is going to be a paraphrased part of the text. Now, basically, the technique for this part is where I think a lot of people go wrong. Because the questions are basically in chronological order, I think you can read, for me at least, I think you can read the first question and look for the first answer, the second question and look for the second answer, because they're going to go in order. So we're going to have a look at englishaula.com and we're going to have a go at a part 5 exercise, and I'm going to show you how I would find the answers. So let's go for it. Right, so here we are, as I said, on englishaula.com, and if you want to look at this on your computer or on your phone as I'm doing it, well, what you do is you go to englishaula.com, you click on C1 activities, click on Reading and Use of English, and it's the first exercise in part 5, right? You go down to part 5 and click on exercise 1 and you'll find this article called A Good Night's Sleep, right? So I'm not going to read the article straight away. I'm going to look straight away at the first question, but I'm not going to focus on the possible answers, okay? So if we look at the first question, it says the writer defines sleep efficiency in the first paragraph as what, right? So we're going to look, I'm not going to look at the answers yet. I'm going to look at the first paragraph and I'm going to say, how does the writer define sleep efficiency? How do they define it? And we need to be specific, right? Because they're going to say something, but we need to understand it fully, right? So, air pollution, a good night's sleep. Air pollution might be linked to poor sleep, say researchers looking into the impact of toxic air on our slumbers. So far, no definition of what sleep efficiency is, right? Okay. The study explored the proportion of time participants spent asleep in bed at night compared with being awake, a measure known as sleep efficiency. Now, what we're going to see in the possible, I think that's where they define sleep efficiency, right? I don't think we need to read the rest of the paragraph. That is the definition of sleep efficiency. So it's talking about the time we spend in bed asleep compared to how long we spend in bed awake, because obviously that is how efficient your night's sleep is, because we spend all night in bed, right? We go to sleep at a certain point and we get up at a certain point. Normally, most people, we don't sort of get up and wander about during the night very much. So we just basically need to know, of all that time that you're in the bed, right, how much of it is spent sleeping and how much is spent awake? How efficient is your sleep? Right? So our 4 options. The amount of time spent sleeping in bed to all the time during the day and night spent awake. No, we're talking about nights in bed, how much time. So it's not A, I don't think. The ratio of time spent sleeping in bed to all the time during the day and night spent awake. I think that's the same. No? So I don't think it's that. The hours spent trying to sleep, including naps, to all the time spent not sleeping. I don't think that's right. D, the ratio of all time spent trying to sleep to time spent actually sleeping. I think it's D. My problem with C is hours spent trying to sleep, including naps. No, we're talking about at night, when you go to bed, the time between when you go to bed and when you get up in the morning, how much of that time are you actually sleeping? So again, the nap is not sleeping, is it? It's like lying down for half an hour on the sofa after lunch, right? A siesta. So I'm inclined to say D, I think, right? And I have a problem here on EnglishAula.com where I don't know how to select the answers. So I'm going to write them down. In number 1, I said D, okay? So yeah, I've just written that down now. So we'll finish the paragraph here. The results, because this might be important at the end, because often question number 6 is a general comprehension question about the text as a whole. So it says, the results revealed that greater exposure to nitrogen dioxide and small particulates known as PM2.5s are linked with a greater chance of having low sleep efficiency. That, researchers say, could be down to the impact of air pollution on the body. Right, so I'm going to have a look at question 2, which is probably going to be based on paragraph 2. So let's have a look at this. It says, in number 2, it says, what reference information does the writer tell us the researchers used as a basis for the study in the second paragraph? Right, so let's concentrate a little bit here on what that question actually means, because it's not simple, right? So I guess, what do the researchers refer to? What information do they refer to? What information do they rely on? And what do they base their study on? No? Where do they get the information from? What information is it that they base their study on? Okay? So let's have a look at what it says in paragraph 2. I'm not going to look at the options yet. So, paragraph 2, let's have a look at all of it. It's quite a long one. It says, from the results, the team grouped the participants according to their sleep efficiency, finding that the top quarter of the participants had a sleep efficiency of about 93% or higher, while the bottom quarter had a sleep efficiency of about 88% or less. The team then took all of the participants and split them into 4 groups based on their exposure to air pollution. Okay. After taking into account a host of factors including age, smoking status, and conditions such as obstructive sleep apnea, the team found, which I think is snoring, no? The team found that those who were exposed to the highest levels of air pollution over 5 years were more likely to be in the bottom group for sleep efficiency than those exposed to the lowest levels. Right, so I think, let's just check the question again. Let's see what the question asks us exactly, but I think I have an idea of what the answer might be. What reference information does the writer tell us that the researchers used as a basis for their study? As a basis for the study. So I think it's to do with air pollution, right? Because they looked at the results. They grouped them into efficiency, sleep efficiency, based on the results. What did they base the study on? I think it was the exposure to air pollution, right? Something like that. So let's have a look. A, the levels of nitrogen dioxide in the house over time. I don't think so. The levels of PM2.5 in the house over time. The levels of nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5 in the house over time. The levels of nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5 and a host of other contaminants in the house over time. So is it nitrogen dioxide, PM2.5, both, and other, nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5, or is it nitrogen dioxide, PM2.5, and a load of other possible contaminants? So let's just go back and read the text and try to be clear. And I think we get the answer somewhere around here. The team then took all of the participants and split them into 4 groups based on their exposure to air pollution, right? It just says air pollution in general. After taking into account a host of factors, including age, smoking status, conditions such as obstructive sleep apnea, right? So far, those are nothing to do with any kind of pollution. Maybe you could argue that smoking is a pollutant of some kind, but I don't think we really would refer to it as pollution. No, it's intoxication, I guess. The team found that those who were exposed to the highest levels of air pollution over 5 years were more likely to be in the bottom. It just says air pollution. Is there anything that we need to take into account from the previous paragraph? Let's just scroll up a second there. It says that the study drew on air pollution data. So I think really the answer is in the first paragraph, not the second paragraph. The study drew on information on air pollution data captured from nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5 levels over a period of over a 5-year period in 6 US cities, including data captured in the homes of, including data captured near the homes of the participants. And they then estimated the levels of pollution in the home. I think it's only nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5 that they're focusing on, right? That was their theory, their hypothesis, right? They gave an estimate, they got an estimate of those two in the house over time. The other contaminants, I don't think so. I don't think there are other factors like age and smoking and snoring apnea. But I think the answer is C. I think the answer is C. Yeah, I think it's the levels of nitrogen dioxide and PM2.5. Yeah, so I've just written that down because, again, I just don't know how to select the answers on this website. Well, maybe I am selecting them and I don't know that I am. Anyway, so number 3. Now, what does number 3 ask us to do? It says, why does the writer explain the way in which the researchers separated the participants into different groups? Yeah, see there, I think on this website, they've put the first 2 paragraphs together, and now we're in the third paragraph, I think, because this is where they talk about separating the participants, no? Why does the writer explain the way in which the researchers separated the participants into different groups? What's the point? Why does he explain that? So let's go back and have a look at what we read before. And, it says, the team then took all of the participants and split them into 4 groups based on exposure to air pollution after taking into account the team found that those who were exposed to the highest levels of air pollution over 5 years were more likely to be in the bottom group of sleep efficiency. I think it's kind of to prove their hypothesis, no? Because their hypothesis was they based their data on these high levels of pollution affecting sleep efficiency. To me, well, I don't know. The reason is to prove their hypothesis. I can't really think of another reason. But why does the writer explain the way in which the researchers did this? I guess to sort of explain how they got the results. No, it's quite a difficult question. To show that it made the research easier to control? Don't think so. To illustrate how the research was more balanced? I suppose possibly. I guess that's a possibility. B, no, because I suppose they explained that first of all it was to do with pollution, and then they added in a whole other load of factors to say how they did it. They controlled for those kind of things. To explain how the researchers wanted to compare the effect of different parameters. To show the research was easy to explain. I've got to say, this is a really, really difficult question. I don't know. I've got to say, I don't like the wording of this question at all. It's very confusing. The only one that really makes sense to me there is B, to show how the research was more balanced. No, to illustrate how the research was more balanced, because they explain how they're put into different groups, and that it's not just pollution they're kind of trying to control for smoking and that kind of thing as well? This one's really, really complicated. I think it. Yeah, I think it has to be B, really. I don't like any of the answers, really, I have to say. I'm going to go with B. I'm not sure that that's quite right, though, either. It just doesn't sound like a proper answer to that question. But anyway, what does the writer imply about the study's conclusions? So, what does the writer imply about the study's conclusions? So the study has some conclusions, right? That they seem to be concluding that it is that exposure to pollution is why people don't sleep as well. Greater exposure to pollution means lower sleep efficiency. What does the writer imply about the conclusion? So let's read a little bit more about the conclusions that we have. So, more specifically, high levels of nitrogen dioxide increase the odds of having low sleep efficiency, almost 60%, by almost 60%, while high levels of PM 2.5s increase the odds by almost 50%. Higher levels of pollution were also linked to greater periods of time spent awake after sleep. None of this is really telling us what the writer thinks about these conclusions. Maybe here when he says, however, some contrasting point is going to be made. However, it is not clear whether the pollution itself was affecting the participants' sleep or whether the poorer sleep quality might be down to other factors linked to pollution, such as the noise generated from traffic. In addition, data from 1 week's sleep might not reflect an individual's typical sleep pattern. So for me, the writer is implying here that the results are not conclusive. The conclusions that they have drawn perhaps don't take into account enough different, what do you call those things? Enough factors, enough. I can't remember from when I studied stats. There's a word. But yeah, I think he's suggesting that, 1 week isn't enough. I mean, everyone can have a bad week or a good week. Also, noise from traffic. If there's a lot of pollution, there's also a lot of traffic, If you're living in the centre of a city, I suppose he doesn't say this, but there's a lot more unnatural light coming into your house and stuff like that. So, I don't know. Let's have a look at the possible options in number 4, and it says sleep patterns are affected by age and gender. I don't think he says that, no. B, pollution may not be the only cause of sleep quality. Cause of sleep quality, the only factor affecting sleep quality, maybe. Yeah, I think it might be B. Data from 1 week's sleep is enough to predict patterns. No, definitely not. He says the complete opposite. Higher levels of pollution do not affect sleep quality. He doesn't say that. He's questioning whether it is actually a direct link, a cause and effect. So I think clearly the answer in number 4 is B, yeah. And so I wrote B. Right, okay, so we're going to go on to number 5, the penultimate question here. And it says, the writer quotes the opinion of other scientists not involved in the study to what? Why? So he's going to quote other scientists' opinions who were not involved in the study. Why is he doing this? Let's have a look. Is it to perhaps support his ideas of the factors that the investigators, the researchers didn't take into account? Okay, so let's have a look. Scott Weichenthal, an epidemiologist from McGill University in Canada, who was not involved in the study, said the research did not prove that air pollution caused poor sleep, but he added that there is certainly increasing evidence that air pollution affects our body in ways that we didn't appreciate before. So that's one a scientist not involved in the study. I think it's kind of to illustrate what he was saying, that there's not it's not conclusive. There are contrasting opinions from experts. Roy Harrison, professor of environmental health at the University of Birmingham, said a link between pollution and sleep was not unexpected. Previous research has shown associations between nitrogen dioxide exposures and effects upon various psychological and biochemical functions in the body, as well as hospital admissions and mortality, he said. It should therefore come as no surprise that such exposures also affect sleep patterns. So these two are not involved in the study, but they're not drawing the same conclusions exactly either. One of them says it's probably, he doesn't think that pollution caused poor sleep. The other one says, well, it could be, he doesn't know, but he says it's definitely a possibility, no? So why is he doing this? Why is he asking this question? Okay, so why does he quote the opinion of scientists who are not involved in the study? So, to show that some experts feel the data didn't prove a causal relationship between sleep efficiency and pollution. Yeah, I think so, because they're a little bit more balanced. They're not drawing any conclusions from this, these two scientists, I guess. B, demonstrate research was poorly done. I don't think so. I don't think he thinks the research was poorly done. I don't think those other scientists said that it was poorly done. They were just giving their opinion. To explain the size of the group was inadequate. I don't think either of those two said that. State that the study should be repeated. Again, doesn't say that. I think the answer is A here. I think in number 5 I would lean towards A, definitely. Let me write that down. As I say, I don't know if my answers are going to be recorded here or not. Anyway. Let's have a look at number 6. The writer seems to suggest that. So now this in number 6, for the final 2 points on offer, you often get a general comprehension question about the text as a whole, right? So the writer seems to suggest that what? Experts all agree that analysing sleep patterns is difficult. I don't think so. I think analysing sleep patterns is not difficult at all. You can certainly take a number of people into a laboratory and observe how well they sleep. No, I don't think there's any problem with observing sleep patterns, right? Analysing sleep patterns. Maybe analysing them, cause and effect. Maybe. Possibly. B, it is said that pollution affects people's ability to concentrate. No, I think one expert says that now at some point, something about it affects us psychologically and biologically. No, I don't think so. Pollution affects how the human body behaves. I don't think the writer suggests that exactly. He just kind of talks about what other people have looked at. I mean, the only opinion the writer really gives in the whole text is that he thinks other factors could be involved besides pollution in affecting our sleep patterns. So, yeah, I don't think it's C. D, all scientists believe that sleep patterns need to be studied. I don't really think he says that. So, God, this is a ridiculous last question again. I don't know. I mean, if we look back at what the experts say in the final paragraph, they don't specifically say that it affects our ability to concentrate. They don't specifically say that it affects our behavior. It says that, there are biological and physiological effects, that there is increasing evidence that pollution affects our bodies in ways we didn't appreciate before. So I don't think anyone says anything specifically about behavior or concentration. So looking back at the possible answers here, I really don't know. Well, after thinking about it a little more, I think maybe it could be C. Pollution affects how the human body behaves, so not how people behave, but how it does seem to have physiological effects. Both the experts said that at the end. Obviously, the people who wrote who did the research, carried out the research, they obviously think it affects how we behave, how we sleep. And the writer himself says that other things could affect how we sleep, apart from pollution. But it might not just be sleep. Again, I don't think these options are very clear. I'm going to go with C, but I get a feeling here that this isn't a very well concocted exercise. But anyway, I'm going to go with C. I'm going to go with C and see what it is. So, just to be clear, I got 1D, 2C, 3B, 4B, 5A, 6C. So you can see them all there. Probably the wrong way around, but anyway, you get the idea. I don't know if I've even registered my answers here, have I? So it says that I've got one wrong. Right, okay. So C, that was right. A, right. B, so this was wrong. To illustrate how research was more balanced. Yeah, I really didn't get the answers in number 3 at all, to be honest. So the rest were correct according to this. Let's have a look at what they say the answer is to number 3. And it actually lets you click on why. So to explain, the researchers wanted to compare the effects of different parameters. Well, they said, I don't think they did. They wanted to study the effects of pollution. They wanted to eliminate the other parameters, so they adjusted the groups according to age and smoking and things like that. No, let's click on why it says that. Why? Why? Does it highlight it in the text? Okay, so it does. Yeah. So the team grouped the participants according to their sleep efficiency, right? The team then took all of the participants and split them into 4 groups based on their exposure to air pollution. Air pollution over 5 years was more likely to be in the highest levels of air pollution over 5 years were more likely to be in the bottom group for sleep efficiency than those exposed to the lowest levels. See, I don't know. I don't know this website. I don't know where it gets. I don't know if they make the exercises themselves. I don't know if I can agree. I'm struggling to see how that's right. They wanted to compare the effect of different parameters. I think they wanted to eliminate other factors. That's why they also took into account things like apnea, age, smoking, things like that, because they wanted to eliminate those parameters. But yeah, I don't think that's right. I really don't think that's right. If anyone can have a look at this and tell me why C is the correct answer, I can't see it. I can't see it. I don't think they wanted to look at the effects of smoking and age and apnea. They wanted to see they wanted to, obviously they took for granted that those factors would affect your sleep efficiency, because I think it's kind of known that if you sleep, if you get older, you need to sleep less, and you probably do sleep less, and smoking probably has cardiovascular effects, which would affect how you breathe and things like that, and apnea obviously keeps people awake. So they wanted to rule out those other factors. So I don't think they wanted to look at the effects of those other parameters. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't know. Anyway, according to this, I got 10 out of 12. I'm not sure that these are real exam activities on EnglishOutler.com. Though, I have to say, very good activities in terms of you reading a lot of good vocabulary, and some exercises are better prepared than others. But I can't really believe that that's a question on an exam. I can't. Anyway, we've finished for today, and leave all of your violent, horrible comments underneath the video. telling me what a terrible teacher I am. No, I'm joking. Thanks for all of your support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.